Want to start with, I agree that this is, a significant amount of funding, right? But in the grand scheme of things, right, particularly when you compare this level of funding to the amount of investment that we provide in education and other spaces, it really isn't a lot of money. I think what it is more of a big shift, right? It's a big shift in how the current funding is allocated, right? And if you just do the math here, and what we're seeing coming out of the Arkansas model, right? If this funding is to be used for incentives of about 3,500 per apprentice, right, we're talking about 40,000 new apprentices that this funding can support, which is a kind of a drop in the bucket compared to the $1 million goal that's being set up. So I think what you're seeing here is a shift away from kind of broad ecosystem funding to direct incentives to employers, right? And I think, as you mentioned, the Arkansas funds, other funds that came out over the summer, I think the administration is very much looking to provide funding directly to employers versus the broader ecosystem and intermediaries that might support those employers, and then kind of letting the market, play out. And those employers may choose to use some of that funding to, bring on an intermediary to help support the management of the program or develop the program. So I do think this is a big shift, right? And I think we're going to get into what are the key components of a good program. But when you look at the full 290, or so million federal appropriation for apprenticeship, this is kind of essentially replacing the grant strategy that DOL had been using with the Apprenticeship Build America grant. So again, I think this is consistent with what we've seen, which is let's put funding directly to employers, incentivize those employers to not just train, right, but we're incentivizing them to bring on apprentices, which is a much bigger decision than just training someone. As everyone knows, with apprenticeship is a job, and so you're asking the employer to make a hiring decision that has long-term implications, and $3,500 is an important incentive and an encouragement to change their behavior and their hiring practices. But it's still a longer strategy that employer has to think about as to whether apprenticeship is the right solution to meet their talent needs today.